Today on the Tim Marner podcast show, I've got Alex and Nick from CBD One. First question, what the fuck is CBD and should I be taking it?
Well, of course you should be taking it. What is it?
Yeah.
Shall I answer that, Al, or do you want to answer that? Yeah, okay. So it's an extract from cannabis, from the hemp plant. So people get confused about all this stuff. Hemp and cannabis is the same thing. They're the same plant. However, hemp is what they call industrial cannabis rather than street cannabis, which comes with a very different behaviour, shall we say. So hemp is low in THC, and THC is the bit that can send us on journeys that some people want, some people don't want, and it's illegal, a controlled substance. So you have this low THC plant that, if you process right, gives you a CBD extract that's safe, that's legal, and CBD itself is a cannabinoid. And in the cannabis plant, there's loads of cannabinoids. So CBD, CBG, CBN, THC is one of them. Each of these cannabinoids interacts with your body. So yes, CBD itself that people commonly know is an extract from the hemp plant, basically.
What are the main benefits of taking CBD?
So we have to be really careful with things like that in public, because there's a pharmaceutical industry watching us saying you cannot make claims and so on. I when people ask me one-to-one, I can have a serious conversation. I'm a health expert, I can give educated advice. But underneath it all, the nicest way to describe it that isn't making claims is, I call it the great balancer. So if your system is hyper, it tends to have a nice calming effect. And if your system's hypo, a bit low, a bit sluggish, it tends to lift. And it can do the same too in your body if that's what's needed. So it's the great balancer for your system, yeah.
What are some of the claims that people make that you're not allowed to say?
Yeah, so we're not allowed to, loads of stuff, So the one that is always...
what other people are saying, claiming?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the really bad stuff is preying on vulnerable people. So like when they start going down the lines of cancer and all that kind of stuff, you've got to rein back in from that, because there are desperate, vulnerable people, who may be given terminal diagnoses, and they're looking for anything to help. And so stuff like that is unethical, really. And then you go all the way down to things like arthritic pain, anxiety and stuff like
inflammation.
And sleep, absolutely. Yeah, and chronic inflammation is a biggie, a real biggie. Yeah. And sleep,
when did you both set this up? When was the bigger?
2017.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah, one of the first in the north of England.
We were definitely one of the first in this area, this region, the northwest. At that time, I remember we joined an association early on, and we were one of the first 50 companies in the country to be doing it. So it was relatively early days. It started cropping up. You were seeing CBD supplements 2014, 15, really, really early days. And then it started to gain momentum a little bit, 2016, 17 time, right about the time we got involved in it. And I heard of it. I have my own personal interests in health, well-being, supplements, that kind of stuff, that kind of thing. And I remember mentioning it to Nick at the same time, coincidentally. Nick owns a health food store in Garstang. And one of the first brands that came to the UK, actually, Nick ended up stocking. So I'd mentioned it to Nick, and coincidentally actually had the opportunity to stock it through this brand. And that...
Yes, so it was really interesting, because one of my members of staff said, we can get cannabis oil now, that we'd got the latest catalogue through. And I looked at it and was like, too expensive, won't sell, kind of thing, with no real thought behind it, except just looking at the price. And actually it's not too expensive, we sell a bottle for $19.99, that's fantastic. However, I had a look at it, a guy came in a rep, and I tried some, and I took a few drops, and within a minute my shoulders just went, and I thought, this is interesting. And then I put a post out on Facebook. I said, I'll try some of your stock. And so put a post out on Facebook, and normally with the shop you'd put out a post regularly and you'd get a couple hundred views here and there. It might be a bit more, a bit less. And this one suddenly 8,000 views, countless comments, loads of shares, loads of people asking questions. And I was like, there's something interesting going on here. And that led to chats with Alex about this, and
What's the relationship then? Where did you first meet? What's the...
me and Alex,
Yeah.
he's
Tim.
yeah,
We're calling him Nick, and I'm like,
we're brothers.
really? Fuck me.
I know he looks old enough to be my
Look, I know he looks. You've got to guess which one's the oldest. Alex is 18 years younger than me. Yeah,
I'm the youngest of 5.
yeah,
You're
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
eldest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do definitely look like each other. I knew there was something like that. I didn't want to guess.
To answer your question, where did we meet? Well, I was quite young.
yeah, yeah. So yeah.
Going into business with your brother.
Yes,
Shit, man.
yes, that's an interesting one.
Did you obviously think about this and, you know, logic sets in, you thinking, is this going to be a good move or what?
So we got the opportunity and started thinking about it because when Nick had put that post out,
Yeah.
we
What were you doing at the
sat-
time when he put that post out? What were you doing?
I was working. So I worked for Lexus. So if you've heard of RRG
Yeah.
in Bolton, the
Yeah.
car group, I worked for Lexus. I've been there. I can't remember how many years now. Maybe 6 or 7 years at the time, and I'd worked my way up to being the sales manager there. So I'd been doing that for about 10 years within that, selling cars and being in that industry. But privately, personally, I was always into my fitness, my health, my well-being.
Well, also growing up, you'd probably seen me as well going into
The
osteopathy and natural health and stuff.
And then there's the thing which we'll probably get into at some point, which is that our eldest brother, Dino, had multiple sclerosis, and he passed away about in 2012. So that's Nick, 1 year older.
He was
There's
yeah,
about a year
he was a
between
year
them.
older than me.
So that, while Dino was alive, funnily enough, this kind of again intersects into it all. When he was alive, I can remember him coming to me and saying, "Oh, I've read about cannabis potentially having medical properties." Now this is very early. This is probably 2006, 7, 8 time. Can you get me some? Right, because I was probably 17, 18 then. Can you go and get me some weed? Right, okay. I remember organising that, getting some for him. And he tried it, he smoked it on a few occasions. But cannabis then, even cannabis now, it's the stuff you'll get off the street, more often than not, it's just designed to get you stoned.
Yeah.
You know, it's just grown
It's a
to
bit
be
mad.
as strong as possible. It's a far cry from actually, if you look back at cannabis over the decades, it's a far cry from what it was then to what it is now. It's been crossbred and this and that, and the genetics tampered with that many times, and it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And what we talked about earlier, the balance of those compounds within the plant, the cannabinoids, is skewed a lot differently to what it was. You know, even back when Bob Marley smoked it, it would have been a very different plant then, and probably a very different experience.
Yeah.
So I got Dino some, but yeah, as I say, whether it alleviates it, it probably helped him have a great night's sleep, but it knocked him out, as opposed to maybe actually alleviating some of his symptoms and this and that. So that ties into it in terms of, at the back of my mind, there's always then, again, very early, probably a long time before people in the mainstream were talking about medical benefits or potential from cannabis. There's a seed there then, to coin a phrase. And then fast forward, when Nick had stopped taking this and Dino's passed away by this point, so it's 2016, 17 time, and we were at Turf Moor, Burnley Football Stadium, watching Man United against Burnley with Man United fans, our family, all originally from Manchester. And Nick got a message on his phone through the Facebook Messenger of a guy in Lithuania who was involved with hemp farms, saying, right, we're farming hemp, we're extracting for CBD, we can produce a range of CBD products. Do you want, with no route to market at the moment in terms of no one who can get it into the country and sell it as a brand and this and that, do you want to work with us? And that was the beginning. Fast forward, we didn't end up working with them. I went off then on my kind of entrepreneurial craze, laser focused, and spoke to loads of different people, and it researched and spoke to loads of different people who were involved in hemp farming or cannabis producing and this and that throughout Europe, throughout the world. And one of the things we knew and we learned early on that we had to do with the stuff, the produce, the products that they were offering us, was test them. And again, that's something that's like standard now. You do it, you produce to a certain standard. But back then it wasn't. You know, a lot of the CBD and cannabis oil products that you get, I always say, they look like they were made in someone's kitchen, and they probably were, a lot of it. Anyway, we sent off the product that they sent over to us from Lithuania for testing, and one of the tests was a heavy metals test, and it came back with dangerously high levels of lead. And a couple of other bits, not what you want to put in your body, not what you want to take for your health and well-being. So, but the seed was planted then. We'd had discussions about it. We thought, hang on, there's an opportunity here. This is something that's definitely got legs. It's interesting. It wasn't the THC part, so we knew that again, as you research CBD, you start to see the potential health benefits it's got.
Well, also at that point as well, the shop had been selling so much CBD. So what I did was, I would be in my shop. I mean, most of the time I'm in my clinic, but if I was in the shop and someone walked in, I had a bottle open, and I just said, "Do you want to try some cannabis?" And people were like, "Hey?" And on the back of that simple sales technique, we were selling tons of it. And we actually looked at the numbers, and I was like, there's probably enough just in my shop at the moment selling through to be able to set up a business.
And did you have a name at that point? Or are you just selling it underneath your shop?
That was a brand. I was selling a different brand at that
that
point.
was...
And then we noticed the dodgy practice going on.
Yeah, because a lot of people, again, in the early days, I mean, there was one point with CBD when it first started to come out that there was a genuine danger of it being removed. You were potentially going to be banned from selling it.
Yeah.
Because what sellers were doing at the time was they were going out there saying, this will cure your cancer, this will cure your arthritis, this will help your sleep. And the MHRA, which control the medicines and regulation in the UK, just absolutely came down like a ton of bricks and were like, this stops now, or we classify it as a medicine. Well, if we classify it as a medicine only, you can't sell it as a supplement anymore.
Goodbye.
So goodbye the opportunity to buy it in health shops and this and that. Because, and part of that was, part of it maybe deliberate, but part of it was just ignorance. People were selling it and not knowing what they were doing. They didn't care about what was on the label, this and that, all your regulation that goes with the territory of supplements and foods and this and that. It was just, this is great, let's sell it, loads of people want it. And again, you say cannabis to people, cannabis oil, CBD oil. Yeah. It just gets interest, people want to try it.
Yeah. We actually had the local newspaper put out, we were front page news, cannabis comes to the high street, and I had my head in my hands thinking, because Garstang's like a retirement town sort of thing, older population, and I had my head in my hands thinking, oh my god,
that's
and
perfect.
Yeah, they were, totally. They were queuing outside the bloody door, and people misunderstand sometimes, but the grey-haired population now were the people in the 60s off their head trying the real deal. So they're quite open-minded to it. So it kind of began to spin.
Yeah, and then you fast forward, we started to formally plan it, I guess, and discuss it and meet and
formally plan it, or is there sort of trust the process? There's something here that's out of our...
Yeah, when I say formally plan it, I mean we thought, right, should we do this? Should we create a brand? And actually, again, Nick's an osteopath. He's been doing that for 20 years. He's acquired knowledge in health and this and that. And the connection with our brother and actually having a genuine empathy. You know, we know what it's like to watch someone struggle and suffer. This is something that can help people as well. Like, what a nice business, one that, listen, we can create a business, we can make some money from this and make a living from this, but actually it's also a product that helps people and helps people feel better. What a great combination. Yeah. So formally plan it. Listen, we didn't sit in board meetings and this and that, with brothers. We talked about it, we discussed, and we did meet up, and we did, literally, you found the
I found my notebook last week of it all, it's still all there. What to get, what to do, pricing.
Different strengths, initial products that we do. Again, I'm looking at the market, I'm thinking, right, what looks like it's selling, what kind of products can people get out there. And again, through our family, so our sister is, at the time was an art and design teacher. Our family, again, funnily enough, our brother that passed away was a graphic designer and a photographer. Our father was a photographer. Amazing. I went to college doing art and design and then went into product design at uni. So we're quite creative. We're quite a creative bunch. So that's the other thing is we thought, right, this has to look shit hot. It has to look clean and professional, because at the time there was big weed leaves and stuff. And again, it's something I've said to people over the years. The CBD that you could buy then looked like you'd buy it in a bong shop. Yeah. You know, big weed leaves and this and that. And ours, if you look at our branding, and it's always been like that, was clean.
Yeah, clinical.
Almost pharmaceutical, which funnily enough is not the direction we want to take it in. But that kind of...
I think it needs to be for a perception in someone's mind.
Professional.
And
again, with the experience that we'd had of the CBD that was below quality and not something you'd want to take, we also made a conscious effort to go out there and source some stuff and thankfully found a group of guys in the Netherlands who completely aligned with us morally and principles, and the backstory of that and kind of how it's farmed and everything like that is so focused around being the best quality it can be, and that aligned with us. So we found the right partners that could help us make this a reality. And again, the branding and everything all plays a part in making it. We wanted it to be taken seriously. With Nick's, again, as an osteopath, it's backed by an osteopath, someone who's genuinely qualified within health and well-being. It had to be taken seriously and give people an option that they can trust. And funnily enough, that's something we've said over the years. It's CBD, and we're a company you can trust. So that was a big thing for us.
Ethics is a big part of it, really. And
the values behind it.
Yeah, the values. Yeah. We saw like there was one company selling a product which it took me, and I knew what I was looking for in labelling and stuff, and it took me half an hour to sit down and work out what the hell are they selling here, how much CBD is in this, right? So if it took me half an hour, someone else just wouldn't have a clue. And they were selling a product for, it was 195 quid they were selling it for. We had a similar, better quality product, same strength, for 19.99, and they were ripping people off.
Yeah.
There was a lot, and again that goes back to the beginning, there was a lot of mislabelling, deliberately mislabelling, deliberate claims, and
gives the industry a bad name.
This particular brand were claiming, we use certain special strains of
Yeah.
cannabis to do this and do that. But actually you look at, but how much CBD is in it? Oh, well, when you divide that by that, and you look at how much CBD, actually there's like 200 milligrams of CBD in it, which we will sell you for 20 quid. And don't get me wrong, we do products that are 40, 50, 60 quid plus, right? But they've got an appropriate level of CBD, and they've got a genuinely higher active level of CBD in them. So CBD is not cheap if you want to do it right, in terms of there's a lot of cheap shit out there at the moment, but for a genuine quality product and quality brand you can trust, you'll pay a bit more for it, but it's worth it if you're invested in your health.
Talk to me about the levels then. So you talked to me about levels then. So this one I've got here that you've given me.
Yeah.
What is, how much strength is that, and when should people be looking at strengths, and you know what I mean? Is it appropriate onto? Listen, I've not got a clue, so I'm here to learn. To be honest,
we say to people who've never tried it.
Yeah.
Right? So we do that one. There is a little water soluble shot. You can pop it into tea, coffee, drinks, things like that.
This.
Both of them actually.
Right.
Are a water soluble thing, which is kind of an area we've started to specialise in, which is CBD that can be put into drinks. That's why we've now started to develop, literally in this last 12 months, drinks with CBD inside. But that there is 250 milligram of active CBD. Again, back in the day, you used to get percentages on bottles, so people it's a 5%, it's a 10%. And that's fine if every bottle was the same size. 5% in a 10 ml bottle is going to give you a different amount of CBD if it's 5% in a 100 ml bottle, right? Because it's just the difference. So we switched actually after a couple of years to removing percentages, and only referring to the active milligrams, which is a more realistic way of looking at it. Because it's like paracetamol, you take a 500 milligram paracetamol, it's that big. But if the capsule was that big, it still only had 500 milligrams in it. It's that kind of principle. So we always say to people who are new to it, if budget allows, some people come to us and it's like, right, we've only got this amount to spend. Okay, well then there only might be one or two products we can say start with this. But if budget allows, start in the middle in terms of strength. So with that we have 250 milligrams. We have one above it which is 400, another one is 800. In the oils we have 250, 500, 1,000 and 2,000. So like 4 different strengths, something for everyone. Most people in that middle range, I would say, is that 80-20 rule. 80% of people will be bang on within that mid range, will find it useful, will find it helpful, or it's perfectly adequate for general health and well-being. Because some people come to us and like, well, I've not got anything wrong with me, why would I take it? Well, why would you take a multivitamin, or why do you eat healthy food? Because it's part of living a healthy lifestyle and supporting your body. And the modern world, there are so many different angles we're attacked from shitty energy drinks, Tim.
Thanks.
To things like Nick mentioned, Wi-Fi, blue light, you name it. There's this. You can go.
We're not getting into that.
You can go all the way down this rabbit hole, right? But the point is, in the modern world, and even the foods we eat and things like processed foods, the body does need a little bit of support here and there, and supplements have become what they are because of that.
Yeah.
So start in the middle, use it for a few weeks, and listen to your body. And that's something that people have forgotten how to do. Listen to your body, because people are so used to taking things and caffeinated up here, but then take something else to chill me out in the evening and this and that. And we're always on it, and we're plugged into working devices that we forget actually to listen to our body. And that's what we say to people. Just give it a few weeks, listen to your body, and you're noticing that maybe that you.
It's a beautiful way of putting it, mate. Listen to your body.
Yeah.
Not many people are doing that.
And you might notice, oh, I'm sleeping a bit better, or I'm feeling a bit brighter in the morning. Cool. Well, in that case, stay. You don't need to change. However, if you find actually I'm using it a few times a day, well then go up a strength, because it's probably better value for money to do that. Equally, if you're thinking, do you know what, I can use it once every other day and it's bang on for me, then you can probably go to the one below.
So you've got to try it, listen to your body, and see what works for you.
There's so many different reasons why people use it as well. Some people have come to us and said, I've had people over the years have gone, oh, it didn't work. Go, well, define work. What's work?
Yeah.
Because that person over there might be using it because they feel like it helps them sleep better at night. But that person might be using it because they're low on energy and they find it actually helps lift them in the morning. They're completely opposite. So
it's about people's expectations, isn't it?
And expectations, again, and that goes back to people who make certain claims about CBD that kind of don't help the industry. Is that ultimately you've got to use it. It's got a number of different ways that it's called your endocannabinoid system, which is throughout your body. It's in your organs. It's in your nerves, everything like that. It interacts with everything in your body. For one person, it can do one thing. For one person, it can do another. And CBD and cannabinoids interact with that system and help bring balance to the body.
Your body's primed for cannabinoids. Your body actually makes your own. It's called anandamide, and anandamide we all have. And when a mother breastfeeds a child in the first few weeks of being breastfed, anandamide, the mother passes cannabis to her baby, and it helps the child thrive. So we all have this system inbuilt for our own version of cannabis, our own cannabinoid. They call that endogenous. It comes from within. Now, as Alex has already said, loads of stress, life, blah, blah, blah. We might not be producing enough of our own anandamide, which helps regulate all your systems. So if that's the case, you can take exogenous. It comes from without. So you take it. And all it does when it goes in your body is talk to that system that is primed, ready for cannabinoids. So I kind of liken it to, a modern drug, a modern pharmaceutical that you take. They're often very, very potent, which is why they come with all kinds of side effects potentially. The modern drug, grabs hold of your shoulders and pushes you in a direction, whereas CBD holds your hand and walks down the street with you.
Nice, mate. Love that.
So it kind of works in harmony.
Plant medicine.
Yeah. Nature knows best. Nature is highly intelligent, far more intelligent than us coming up with synthetic things.
Yeah.
So, and that goes back to listening to your body. We call it titrating, where you dose it. Titrating is working out the dose for you, and you go up or you go down according to how you're feeling. And they do that in modern medicine too. And it's very much about finding that sweet spot for you. Of course, there are always other factors in your life as well. So people come and think, it's the magic cure-all for everything. Well, whilst eating McDonald's every day or whatever it might be.
Or knuckles.
Yeah.
So these two that you've given me, you put them in water.
Yeah.
But did it first start out by an oil that you put under your tongue?
Yes.
And then it's developed. So what's the reason for that then?
The first products that we sold, funnily enough, we did launch with a water-soluble option.
Yeah.
So when you think CBD, usually the word that follows it is oil.
Yeah.
CBD oil. And that's what you type in Google and it prompts you, oil's the next word that comes. And when it comes out of the plant, it's an oil, quite a thick paste actually when you first extract it. But CBD is a lipid, it's a fat. It's an oil, and you blend it with what's called a carrier oil. That can be olive oil, it can be hemp seed oil, and you blend it, and that's what produces your oils that you can put in droppers, put on your tongue, whatever. Through working with the team in the Netherlands who manufacture our products, they did a lot of research into what we call bioavailability. So our blood is like 90% plus water. We're water-based creatures. And oil and water, if we get a glass of water here, dropped olive oil or whatever oil onto top, it would separate and it would float, it wouldn't mix. And that, in terms of translating to how CBD works in your body, it's actually got quite a relatively low bioavailability. So you put 10 milligrams under your tongue in a few drops. If you put it under your tongue, your body can absorb approximately 10 to 12%
right, okay,
of what you
so by doing that, it absorbs better into your body.
Correct. So the fast forward to that was we did a lot of R&D into bioavailability.
Yeah.
There's a complex of ingredients, they're all natural ingredients in those particular products. It binds CBD to, like an emulsifier, it binds it to something which allows it to disperse in water and presents it to the body in a form that the body can accept a lot easier. So whereas under the tongue you get 10 to 12%, that's like now 90% plus bioavailability. So for the same amount of CBD, you get a greater effect. So while functionally they are more versatile in that you can put them in drinks, which is like it's a novelty way of doing it, but it's a genuine way you can do it, and people sometimes like to put it in tea or coffee, in a protein shake, whatever. But in terms of that's functions and how you use it, but in terms of the effect within your body, it does produce a greater effect. So it's not just for the sake of doing it, it actually is more effective milligram for milligram. So those particular products, we believe, are the most effective product we make.
But
for the body to absorb.
Better absorbed, but we also do see slight differences. So that there's a very general rule, which is that the oils, and I think it's because they're slower absorbed, tend to be slightly more on the calming side, whilst the water solubles, because they go in fast, your body doesn't have to metabolism, they tend to be slightly more on the energizing side. So one gives a lift, the other gives a slight calm. That's a very, very general rule, but it is something we do kind of see. Yeah.
So are you still selling the oil then, or you go because when I seen it, the CBD One shot, I'm not putting that in thing and then shotting it.
So that's a product that we actually sell. We don't sell that online to, let's say, someone sat at home who uses CBD. That we sell to coffee shops.
Right.
So that was as a brand we did
amazing
a pivot a few years ago. So coming out of the initial lockdowns, late 21, we developed that product in the previous year, 2 years prior to that, when everything happened.
So someone can bang that with the Starbucks.
So as an example, that's sold to coffee shops, food and drink outlets. There's 125 shots in that bottle, and it doesn't change the flavour of what you put it in. So you can go into your local coffee shop, you can say, right, I'll have a latte, or I'll have an Americano, or I'll have a tea, or whatever it is, and they can shot CBD into it. So a bit like you'd have a syrup and say, oh, we'll flavour it with hazelnut or whatever. That puts CBD into it. So any drink can become a CBD drink with that, so they can offer it. So if you've heard of Black Sheep Coffee, there's 60, 70 plus of them in the UK now, and they're growing. They're the challenger brand to like your big Costas and things like that.
Yeah.
That product is in every Black Sheep Coffee. You can walk into any Black Sheep Coffee and have a shot of CBD in your drink. It's our product. That
so when they say CBD infused, is that what they mean? This is CBD infused coffee.
So you look at drinks that are out there at the moment, like you get canned drinks with CBD in them.
Yeah.
But you have to choose that particular flavour in that format. That allows you to have it in anything. Whatever your fit, you don't have to compromise on what you'd ordinarily have from that coffee shop.
You still put that in water as well?
Can if you want. I was actually in a coffee shop who sell it, Frank Street Coffee House called, in Barnoldswick, because I live over in East Lancashire. And I was in there on Saturday, and I'd got my drinks, and as I was walking out, the next customer in asked for 3 shots of it in their brew. Yeah. Can I have 3 shots of CBD, please? Yeah. There you go.
So these people who like going for the really higher doses, who are them people?
It depends, because some people's bodies are more sensitive than others. So it depends. But so a friend of mine who takes a really high dose, he's had addiction problems and lived a very fast-paced lifestyle. He's a very, very talented hairdresser and stylist, and lives the rock and roll. Yes, they're full on, absolute maniacs.
Don't call me an hairdresser.
Yeah,
stylist.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was in a barber's recently, and the guy said to him, "You're a barber." He went, "I'm not a barber."
Stylist.
He said to him, "How much do you charge for a man's haircut?" He said, 25 quid. He went, "You're a thief." But yeah, so he has lived this really fast-paced thing. So he takes a high dose because he is hyper, really hyper. So he needs drawing down all the time. And he's been clean for a long time. Nice guy, but had his struggles, shall we say.
Yeah.
So it's normally, not always, but sometimes that more extreme case wants something stronger. But some people just like it. And to be fair, some people take one drop of the really, really strong. That's all they take, just one drop, and it works. So they're not taking actually a massive dose, but it's just they like it that little bit. Yeah.
Do you two both look on back what you've sort of like created and stuff? Do you give yourself that time, or are you still driving and pushing forward?
Still driving, still pushing.
It's it wasn't the easy road, that's for sure.
What's been the hardest?
In my old job, that was the easier option.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Talk about a job for life. I could have stayed there and done that, and I'm not saying I could have done it with my eyes.
But it's just a job for life, not a career, is it?
Yeah,
which is a total different fulfillment.
I always wanted to do something for myself. I always had that thing where I always wanted to own my own business and do my own thing. So I've achieved that. It's not the easy option. It's been a hell of a journey. I remember the first year, so the first couple of years that we started the company, I still worked. And I was working, in that job you work weekends, you run 6 days a week, you name it, all the hours under the sun. And we started it, and I'd get home and then just open the laptop and answer emails or do this and that and liaise with people, you name it, grow the business. We did trade shows and we were out and about and getting the brand out there all over social media. And I remember the first year then it had grown and it got to a point where I remember being sat with the accountant and he was saying about, right, in terms of coming on full time, and I said, well, when do you think that time is? He said, I think that time's now. Like, you need to do that now. Things had grown nicely. So I then went for a meal with Nick and his wife and my partner, and we sat down and discussed it, and I thought, right, well, I'm going to put my notice in. So I did. And I've been there 8 years at the time, and working at Lexus. I had a nice brand new Lexus on the drive every 3 months, and quite a well-paid job. And I rang up my boss the next day and said, right, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna put my notice in, and that happened. I had to work under notice. But that first 12 months, I didn't know what hit me. No. And you know what?
I remember that.
I was in a job that was like in car sales and in that environment, and being that when I was in management position, responsible for the team and this and that. Yeah. It's a high pressure job. Yeah. And you're only as good as your last month. We always used to joke and say, you get to the end of the month, you hit your target, you shit again now. But now you've got to hit your target again. I was used to a job that was fully plugged in and like on it all the time and things like that.
Well, you used to get messages saying customer response required within 20 minutes.
Yeah, like we had a 20-minute rule. If an inquiry came in, you had to respond within 20 minutes. So I was used to that, like, inquiry comes in and I'm cooking tea, but it's on my phone, I'm dealing with it.
I kept having to say to him, Alex, slow down, this is not car sales.
Yeah.
Draw breath.
But then it's funny because on one side you have to slow down a little bit, but then the other side is, now I'm working for myself.
Yeah.
And now actually I've got to look at the bank balance and what's coming in, because that has to pay my wage at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And I was full of anxiety and like I said, I didn't know what hit me that first 12 months, the adaptation of being working for someone else. You always know you're getting paid at the end of the month.
Yeah.
It might be a bit more, it might be a bit less, but you're always getting paid, to that kind of into the unknown. And now fast forward, and it doesn't feel any easier, other than that old thing of stepping out of your comfort zone. And that circle gets a bit wider then, and then that's your comfort zone, and you step out, and then that's your comfort zone. Being an entrepreneur, owning your own business, listen, some people do something, it takes off, and away they go and they never look back. Credit to them. But in my experience, it's been getting used to the feeling of being uncomfortable, but being okay with that. And we had good times and more challenging times, but that's been the journey for me personally.
Can I ask you what kept you going within that 12 months? What sort of emotionally, psychologically, what kept you?
Yeah,
because even though you've got Nick with you and you've got other people, it's
lonely. That's part of it.
It's a lonely place.
I was in a car sales environment,
yeah,
where big team, loads of banter. And previous to that, I'd been in other sales environments. I used to work at Carphone Warehouse, and again, it was always like, part of the thing that kept me going in that job was that you take the piss out of each other all the time, and you had to be fun, because it was also fun.
Yeah, pressure releasing, innit? Pressure
so you
releasing.
have to have a laugh when the doors are closed in your office, and take the piss out of each other and have a laugh, because then when you're in front of the customers, it's serious, and you're under high pressure to hit targets. So part of the thing that I struggled with was suddenly I'm on my own. I'm sat at home.
Well, I can remember you were fretting here and there, and I'd been through it because I used to be a teacher, and then I became an osteopath, self-employed. And you'd have days when you're building your practice where there might not be many patients, and you'd like be going, oh God, how am I going to pay the bills, blah blah. And you'd sweat over a day, and over time you stopped sweating over a day, and it became sweating over a week, and then sweating over a month, and then suddenly you forget about it. Just keep doing the right thing. Keep doing it. Yeah, exactly. Put it out there. Push. Keep and I remember saying this to Alex in that first year. You know, stop sweating about the little bits. Just we got to just keep being there. Keep doing. Because I remember him being kind of awash with. Lack of direction because you'd had a job where you'd had direction,
and doing it for yourself. And I say I was racked with anxiety for the first 6 to 12 months, and then funnily enough, I mean at that time, so what, 2017, 18, 19, 2019, I left. Not since long, bought my first house, had my first child, then I quit my job. So I like to do everything at once. And it took, you know what, it took a lot of work on myself. I've always been, for years and years and years now, even before this, when I was employed and things like that, I've done things like meditation. I'll read books, things like The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle and things like that, and I'm well into kind of self-improvement and pushing myself and things like that. Exercise is a massive one for me, so I mentioned to you, part of the community of boxing club and things like Tom's Gym over in Wigan. And the community around me was a big thing. Being involved in that, I have to exercise 3, 4, 5 times a week. Like that's what for me is my therapy and keeps my head on. And being involved in those communities, meditation. I'm quite. What I've learned again as the years is I'm quite. When I'm in a routine and I'm in a structure, I'm a much better person. If things, funnily enough, like over Christmas, and you have 2 weeks where it's all blurs into one. Yeah. And I think I couldn't do this all the time. Like I need that structure. I need to know that I get up, I do this. I have a routine. I walk the dog. I take my son to school, etc. And then I get home and I crack on. And I have to have that kind of regimented structure.
The other thing with it is that I've learned that structure can then sometimes own in you.
It can.
And you get the habits own you.
And I think part of
you've got to be about 2 weeks to kind of go.
I didn't sweat it over Christmas. To be honest with you, it had been that much again. The last 6 months have been particularly stressful as we've been developing new products and trying to get investment and this and that, which I've talked to you about. Yeah. Incredibly stressful, but it comes to like a Friday night and it's the weekend. And I have learned, that's something I have learned as an entrepreneur and running my own business. Actually, well, Alex, nothing's going to happen between now and Monday. So let go.
Look quite well.
Nothing's going to happen, right? Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Someone said to me over Christmas, and we finished Christmas Eve. I did a bit of work and this and that, and then I shut the laptop, and it's like nothing is going to happen between now and past Christmas. And a lot of the businesses that we deal with are shut till New Year. So I had to say to myself, just let go now. And I've definitely become more used to just letting go. As I say, you get used to almost being uncomfortable. You have to get used to that feeling and think, actually, this is a normal feeling. It's a normal pressurised feeling. It's also a drive. That pressure also is what drives you to succeed and drives you to keep going.
But it's also because when you're running your own business, it doesn't matter what the business is. There's an aspect of running your own business that's being creative. You've got to be creative, whatever the business is. It doesn't have to be a creative industry. So that bit is always a challenge because if you are creative and your brain has always got an eye out for I could use that. I could take like last night, right? We cooked. We had bone marrow for our dinner with some wild salmon, right? I'm taking bloody pictures of it all to put on websites for carnivore, for diet, for nutrition, ketosis. I'm like, bloody hell, man! Put it away now and go and eat my dinner. So the creative aspect is not easy to switch off, but actually that's a positive thing. I think, as well.
I love the creative aspect, the intuition aspect, but I think what happens is sometimes my logical brain ruins it. I kind of get into a thing of, right, okay, what if we do this, if we do that, where I just want to be in that flow state. The logical brain comes in and like...
Well, you're right there, because I think when you're being... The most powerful moments of being creative are when you're in the zone, when you're in the now, as opposed to planning ahead or thinking back to the past. Creativity comes from a still point.
It's the same thing happens when I'm meditating. If your logical brain comes into meditation, I'm just
starts,
here we go.
Like, you realise that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, that's actually part of it. And noticing, there it is, that voice. I think that's why, for me, the martial arts has been something that I've just got massively into over the last 10 years as well. Is boxing as an example. We talk about flow state. Well, if I'm not in flow state, I get punched in the face. If I suddenly go, bang, or when you're rolling in jiu-jitsu, and you're in that flow state and you're in that moment, and I think that's probably been why it's therapeutic as much as it is exercise for me, because it switches you on, you're concentrated, you're in the zone, you're with your friends, with your community, and it's another one of those things that gets you in flow state. And
you can't be thinking about your shopping, can you?
No, and teaches you about resilience, and
important things.
About you, do you meditate?
Yeah, I sort of.
I'm trying to get this out there to people.
Yeah,
there's such a stigma behind.
It's an amazing thing.
Never mind meditation, but CBD, meditate, all this.
A lot
of woo woo.
Yeah, so a lot of I have patients who I speak to about meditating, and they'll say, "I tried it, didn't work for me," and I'm like, "That's absolutely missing the point."
Yeah.
People think it's got to be this.
It's not meant to work.
It's state of perfection, and so I do. There's some really interesting things like walking meditation.
Yeah.
So I'll walk along, and every car that goes past, I send them a message of like, may you have peace, may you have. It sounds a bit floaty this, but actually,
it's cool, mate. It's cool.
But you're sending out positivity to other people. You're then not sat there in your own head. Yeah. You are meditating. You're at peace. And something comes past. May you have love. And so I do things like that. And now I've got a 6-year-old and 4-year-old girls. And I put a little app on Budify, it's called, a fantastic app, and we put that on. It's got this wheel with different segments, and it tells you how long each meditation is and what it's for. And my kids like there's a wheel for kids, and we sit. Daddy, can we meditate? Yeah, so we say a prayer.
Come on, now we're talking.
Yeah, we say a prayer. Or the girls will say, "Can we say a prayer now, Daddy?"
Yeah.
Right, so we'll say some kind of prayer, and then I'll read them books, whatever, and then we sit for however long it takes and do whatever the meditation is, and they love it. They absolutely love it. And we don't do it every day, but it's building that in, because I want them to grow up with these tools that I never had when I was growing up.
Me too,
for many reasons. But I want them prepared for all of that, and the ability to find that space for them, for themselves.
Everything I do now is for little Tim.
Yeah.
Everything that I do.
Yeah.
That's what you
Yeah,
need.
you're investing in their future every time you interact with them. Yeah. So I do yoga, and I like yoga as a physical meditation, basically. So last night, actually, chatting to my wife is full on. She's a detective in the police, and she was up at 5:30 this morning to go to the gym, and does all the intense stuff incredibly well. She's utterly dedicated, total inspiration. I'm Mr. Lazy, floaty. But last night I got her to sit down and said, "Look, you're doing all the intense stuff. You need to find the opposite of that. So she actually sat with me, and we did a 15-minute yoga session just on YouTube, relaxing thing. And what was funny was at the end, the yoga teacher said, "And now we're going to just, with our last breath, go Om." And I'm all set for that. She's just pissing aside, laughing her head off. But it was nice to have that moment.
It's a problem, isn't it? It's like your wife, like the sound of it, your wife needs that more than ever.
She does.
Because of what's happened in spirituality, it's made fucking conscious Ken and bloody conscious Karen have just made it fucking like, you don't need to be, it's just about connecting with yourself so you can connect with other people.
You're finding stillness. And the tech doesn't help all of that bombardment we're always getting. I don't know if you've seen the Daylight computer, which looks amazing. This guy's designed, and it looks like an iPad, but the screen looks like paper. It's like a Kindle, like it's matte. It's designed so you can stand outside in sunlight and do your work, or grounding, put your feet on the grass, and you can work because it's non-reflective, so you can do all your work, and it's not got noises, so it's not demanding your attention, and he's designed it to be the healthy option in tech. And he's going to do a phone soon as well. I think it's really interesting. Trying to connect tech to what we need rather than what tech is telling us we should have. It's a tool, isn't it? It's a tool, tech, but it's becoming our lives. So it's really interesting.
Scary, mate.
Yeah.
It's scary.
So my
girlfriend's kids, like, I look
terrific.
at 8 hours a day.
Yeah. So you know the blue light that kicks out of it and
yeah.
the flicker
Yeah.
is highly addictive, and it gets your children addicted to dopamine.
Yeah.
And that's the same rush that gamblers get when they're, you know, hoping the GG comes in or whatever. So we're getting our children used to that kind of kick. And they're now starting to see it with teenagers and in their early 20s not going out socializing anymore, because you get the kick from that instead of, it's easier to get the kick from what's reflected back at you than go out with your mates. It's not good.
Not good. Can I talk to you about the work you did with Caroline Britton?
Yeah.
I want to say shout out to Caroline Britton. Hey mate.
And Caroline told me to come here and do this.
She mentioned you, mate. She mentioned you, and then I just, for some reason, it just at the right time, things aligned, and we just dropped into each other's inboxes. Talk to me about that, mate, because I bet that was a big one for you.
You say, what did you do earlier? You said in that first 12 months of adapting, and when my head blew up a bit with getting used to being self-employed and on my own and this and that. Because that was 2019, early 2019 when I started that. And of course, what happened at the back end of 2019, and that's probably when it peaked for me in terms of feeling like I'm struggling here. And then as it kind of came into 2020, the world went fucking mad, didn't it?
Just a bit.
And everything, all of a sudden, we're getting videos on the TV of people dying in the street and getting taken away, and obviously the COVID madness happened. And you'd think that'd be enough to fully send me under, having just had that first 12 months, but this weird thing happened as that kind of first half of 2020. I started to actually come out the other side and think, right, no, I'm used to this, I'm getting used to this, I'm starting to feel better. And it was about the same time, early 2020, as lockdown started and everything like that I started to work with Caroline. And it was a friend of ours, you know, Kate from Rep.
Right, okay.
So Kate, we've known, Nick's known through being a rep at one point for a supplement brand that used to come into his shop, and we got to know her over the years. Lovely girl. And she, I talked to her here and there, and she said, I'm doing this course with a woman, Caroline Britton, like, you've got to come and speak to her, she's great, she's this, she's that. And I got added to like a WhatsApp group or something like that. And then Caroline was at the time onboarding to run like a course. And I remember looking at it, and I don't know why, I just thought, I think I had an initial chat with her. And that's probably enough, isn't it then? Once you've had a chat with her, then you're on board. Yeah. And again, what you say about floaty and meditation and this and that, and obviously Caroline's a coach, she helps people in business and personal life and this and that, and this was very much like an entrepreneur's course for people who have had their own businesses. And just talk about like right place and right time, and that, as I say, the world had gone mad, lockdowns were happening. It could have sent our business under, frankly, because we built it up to this point, and then all of a sudden everything went to a point where all the stores that we used to sell our CBD to, a lot of them were shut in. The world was just so different. And I started the course with Caroline. I think I was the only guy on the course, the rest were women, because she's I think her audience is heavily female, but not exclusively female. And it was just an unbelievable experience, and it was that, you know, we'd do meditations on each one of the calls, and yeah, there was a lot of practical advice in there, but a lot of it was calling out to the universe and manifestation and energetic work. And you'd sit there, and because of lockdown, it was on Zoom, so I'd be sat in my office and just in the computer, and it definitely helped keep my energy high. And that's something that I've noticed is through meditation, spirituality, learning, reading, working with people like Caroline, and it's something that I'm super conscious of, even like recently with things being quite stressful with the business and things like that, is that if you're in that state of lack and a state where you just kind of low energetically, shit starts coming at you.
Things attached to you.
Where actually if you go out there with optimism, with high energy, abundance, exactly, and that whole manifestation thing, it's funny how things actually start going a little bit better. And that period with Caroline, it's probably no coincidence. I mean, we, again, as a brand, throughout that period pivoted, and we had to focus on to a point. point of being mainly online, right? When we were actually, what we built was selling to other stores. All of a sudden we had to be like, shit, we need to focus just online, 'cause it's pretty much the only way we can sell our product. That was our best ever year online. That first 6 months I worked with Caroline, and you know, we put a lot of time and effort into. I remember being at home and we pulled stock from Nick's shop, who we used as a base, and we couldn't use that anymore because that had to shut for periods and this and that. And I can remember being sat, and I remember one of the things I did was we introduced cards, thank you cards, with every single one of our orders, and I would sit there each day and handwrite a personal card to every single person that ordered from us online with the name. I'd look back at the history. I'd think, if they bought before, okay, thanks for another order. If they've not bought, welcome to CBD One, thanks for choosing us, thank you. And I wanted people to feel or understand just how much it meant to us that in that period where the world's gone nuts, and how much it meant to us that you're still shopping with us, and you're frankly keeping me occupied and keeping me in a job. And the work with Caroline was just, yeah, it was a magical experience, because it kept my energy high. And if ever it started to teeter off, then it'd be the time for the next call, and you'd leave it absolutely buzzing and on a high. And I can't recommend working with her enough to anyone in terms of getting that high vibration, getting up there and believing, you know, the thing she used to say to us was, you know, there's that old stigma of, it's got to be hard work. Everything has to be hard work, right? And if it's not hard work, you don't get the outcome. And it's so, I mean, I'm even reading a book at the moment.
Yeah, growing trees.
And it's like, I was doing 100-hour weeks. Now, don't get me wrong, people do that, and that's commitment, and it's valid. You have to work hard, of course you have to work hard. But Caroline was like, it shouldn't be a struggle. And it shouldn't be a case of that you have to be doing every hour under the sun. Sometimes you have to do the work and let go, and let the universe deliver.
Yeah, that's the art bit.
And so it was a magical experience. I still speak to her to this day. I still have a high opinion of her now. I was sat with her in Manchester 8 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, whenever it was, and she just did the podcast with you. She said, you've got to speak to Tim, and she was loving what we were doing with the new product development. And yeah, again, I sat with her for an hour, and you leave feeling better than you started. So
could you see it shifting him?
In Alex, yes, over the time, more of a sense of,
because you're already in that, aren't you? You're already in that vibration state,
yeah,
where he's really driven him.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
I
get
out of the way.
That pattern that I saw in that first year when he became self-employed, and you could sense the lack of direction or working out his direction. Yeah, you can see a big change through all of that. I still think he needs more work though.
What do you think it is?
We all do.
The one big thing with me was when I'm working with Caroline was I need to open my heart a lot more and love a lot more. I feel like I was putting barriers up, not boundaries, in a way, where I kind of got maybe loyalty or trust issues, and I closed my heart off to people come in, and I'm reading wrong signals for them to me to just kind of no, I'm not doing that.
I think there's a lot of stuff that we have in us. The more you learn, the more you listen to people and listen to podcasts and this and that, the more you realise we've all got a story, haven't we? We've all got our history, and even back to like our childhood and things like that impact us later in life and set up behavioural patterns that we probably don't even realise are there and don't recognise. And a lot of that has to be undone to then almost start again, doesn't it? Or go through it. And you look at things sometimes from your past and you're looking at it as you now, but not you then. And that's another thing. It's like I've had to do a lot of work on myself, and Caroline was part of that. And just being on this journey, and that journey doesn't stop. I don't think it ever stops.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my job has taught me a lot about people, because as an osteopath, obviously you're analysing people literally from the moment I first see them, and that's sat in the waiting room, and I hand them a form for them to fill in with the basic details, and people give off stuff initially, or you pick up stuff initially, which after 10, 15, 20 minutes may have gone, because it's the first encounter and they might be defensive or whatever. So I've learned now to just be a complete blank canvas for whatever I'm seeing initially, because then it all comes to you without that judgment of who they are and what they are. And you start to look at them as a new entity, rather than deciding. So I remember early on, this guy, he was kicking out aggression and anger, and he came in, and within 15 minutes he's laughing his head off, the nicest of guys, and you're thinking, this guy looks angry as he's coming in, and he did have anger issues underneath, but as one-to-one, he was completely a very funny, charming guy. So I've learned a lot of those factors through that, and previously as a teacher, because to get through teaching, you're encountering children of all kinds of backgrounds. You start to realise how lucky you are with your own childhood, you know, and some of them traumatic backgrounds and terrible histories, and you have to have this ability not to take that on. And my wife does the same in policing, otherwise she wouldn't be able to function outside the job. So I learnt that skill as a teacher to, whatever their trauma, whatever, stay neutral and don't let it land on me. It kind of washes over you. It doesn't mean you can't help them.
So let me ask you this question then. So the people that come into your practice, how much of that is more psychological than physical?
Well,
that they're holding on to trauma and it's created dis-ease within the body?
Without a doubt. So there's loads of evidence. If you just want to pick on the typical one, people think osteopaths treat bad backs. Well, we do treat bad backs, but I treat anything: heart problems, breathing problems, asthma, eczema, skin conditions, you name it. Because I call myself the health detective on TikTok, and my job is to put in place all the ingredients of good health. And if they're all there, you're not ill.
That holistic being,
the whole
energy,
the whole everything, your environment, sunlight, your relationships, all of those, nutrition, all of those factors, if needed, I can look at. But as an example, there's great evidence that depression and lower back pain go hand in hand, and there's a myriad of others, you know. So there is no doubt at all that your psychological state has a profound effect on your physical being, and this is where I don't like talking about it like that, your psychological state, your physical state, because it's one and the same. It's we're starting to now realise, when you look at what they call quantum biology, that what's going on with us is interacting with it's a fascinating thing.
I was shown that on my last mushroom experience.
There you go.
Wow.
Okay,
I'm like,
is that why they're illegal, do you think? Because you might learn something?
I think all three of us know that. I've done 3 now. My last one was a hero's dose, and she made me put a blindfold on.
Yeah. So you had a therapist with you?
Yeah. So my last one,
amazing.
I kept opening my eyes because I couldn't let myself go, and I was that scared and petrified. I kept opening my eyes to ground myself. But on this last one, she made me put a mask on, like a sleep mask, and I was vibrating on the floor.
Incredible.
And I could feel the vibrations outside of me, and I just thought, I'm just one with everything here.
We are one.
We are one, and I just realised in that moment that I am nothing, and because I'm nothing, I can be everything.
Yeah.
And it was honestly, it changed. It was maybe 3 months ago, that one.
Yeah, there's lots of interesting ways of looking at that. We
Beautiful.
are one thing.
I was shown so much love that I've never experienced before, that I just started crying.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love for myself. And I just broke down crying.
So the Christians would say God is love. You know, we're hitting on hitting on the same sort of thing.
Whatever that is.
I remember at school, going to church with my mum, and there's a phrase they say: though we are many, we are one body, for we all share the same bread.
Yeah.
That's unity.
Yeah.
Or one.
Yeah. So I was brought up with Star Wars, me. And I'm like the Force, and I'll not label it, but that's my kind of thing.
The same spiritual idea.
Feel this anger, I've been there, and I don't want that. Yeah.
Powerful
Beautiful.
thing.
It's powerful, and using your supplement as a supplement towards that holistic thing is beautiful. Yeah.
One of my friends.
Why it's called CBD One.
Yeah, there you go. You see the one. A friend of mine, she's a medical herbalist, and a couple of years ago she took me shrooming on the hills above where I live, looking for magic mushrooms, and it's illegal to pick one. Anyway, she showed me and she said, if you eat one now, one is neither here nor there. She said, but if you eat one, you'll start to see them quicker. I was like, really? So I tried this, and lo and behold, then you start to go, oh yeah, there. Then a farmer came past, right, in the next field, and we had to duck down. And I looked, I said, I'm 52 years old. I'm hiding in the middle of a field from a farmer going past in a quad bike.
I love that. I'm a massive advocate of plant medicine. A massive. It is changed my life.
Look at the intelligence of life. Look at the intelligence of nature. It's an intelligence we can't fathom. Yeah. You can get close when you have those kind of experiences.
Yeah. Right now.
Yeah. Far more intelligent than anything we can conjure up.
I felt like you, when I did my sessions with Caroline Britton, I could actually get to them points as well that I got in the mushrooms. She took me back where I could see little Tim sat on a log, and I picked him up and held him in my arms. I'm just like, oh my fucking... I just started crying. I videoed the thing and put it on Instagram, to be honest. But I just wanted to show the people, it's all right to be vulnerable and, like, you know, we're all part of this together.
Yeah.
But you've got to go back and unfreeze yourself.
Yeah.
There's parts where I can see it 5, 6, 7 where I've frozen myself in time, and it's my job to go back and help him and unfreeze him.
There you go.
Yeah.
So our elder brother Dino, Alex has already mentioned the book The Power of Now. I don't know if you've read that.
No, I've not. I can't. So yeah,
it is good.
Yeah, yeah. I do watch his stuff on.
Yeah, and Dino, our brother, gave me that book, and it chimed with me so brilliantly. And it doesn't with everyone, you know. It's finding what works for you. And I have that, and I just every now and then read just to read a paragraph of it.
Yeah.
And it was completely liberating. Being able to find that one that worked for me, and being able to be more in the moment, not worrying about the future, not worrying about the past, put it in the will of God. Whatever is to be will be, and being here now, more important than anything.
And you share this kind of stuff, both of you? Do you share this sort of the psychological, spiritual side of the part of your brand?
We don't really have those. We're blokes, aren't we? How often do blokes?
But is it not your responsibility, Bolton?
I agree with you. I agree with you. And
because there's a lot of people struggling out there.
You're right. So you mean share it to?
Well, raising vibration. I'll be honest with you. I think you both should be putting a CBD One retreat on and inviting people and putting it on. You know, and obviously the products are in the background, but first and foremost, it's helping. Yeah. People communicate and talk.
Idea. It's like the guy we met a guy years ago now who he used to be the CEO of Soulfology, something like founder. Multi-millionaire, exited the business, you name it. And it's funny because he said to us at the time, we were sitting with him, and he said, I've got this idea, and he'd been the successful businessman. He'd made his money.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to start this thing, I'm going to call it Zen Jungle. And it's going to be a retreat, and people are going to be spiritual, this and that. And I'm listening to him talk about it, thinking, sounds awesome. Doing it is another story.
Yeah.
And then I googled him.
Yeah.
This is like 3 years ago when we met him. He's doing it.
I've seen it.
You look it up.
I've seen it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And I thought, and he's grown his hair long, big beard. I said, hey, Nick, this is the guy we met with posh, blonde dyed hair. And I'm like, you know, like he's done it. Like how cool is that?
Yeah.
Like he's done it. And don't get me wrong, like as this thing grows and CBD One and our business gets to where it can be, ultimately the goal is reach more people, have more of a voice. And it's something we've done recently. Nick's been high on the output of, you've probably seen it, of how many times we're posting and this and that, because that's something that we've probably not touched upon is the by doing what we're doing. And we learnt this. When I say we learnt this early, we learnt this on day one, right? We launched our company September 2017. We built a website. Nick went on BBC Radio to talk about it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and remember we had our first order come through that first day. I was like, oh shit, someone's ordered off us, right? And then
30 seconds later.
Half an hour later, I got a message off PayPal that was integrated into our website. We've suspended your account. Why?
Yeah.
Narcotics. Oh. Fucking hell, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
and
shit.
Away
now
we
we've
went.
got a website, we've just been on BBC Radio to talk about it, the launch, we're advertising this and that, and no one can hear us. On day one, right? Fast forward, within a year, we're banned on Facebook, in terms of our ad account, banned.
Yeah.
We've got to a point where, like on Instagram, we've got around about 10,000 followers, but we put a post out on there, and it might get one person liking it, right? It's all suppressed and all shadow banned and this and that. You try and spread a positive message, and it's not the pharmaceutical route or the traditional route. you better be prepared to be made of some strong stuff, because the obstacles
they don't want
themselves in front of you are unbelievable. And it's only recently since you started to really be like, fuck it, do you know what, no matter what, I'm just going to put posts out. It started to get a little bit more traction. Whether the whole new thing with Facebook and Meta, and now Zuckerberg said we're going to make it more community-led, just opened things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, quite possibly, because it's a bit of a coincidence that it's happened in this last literally 4 or 5 weeks. We've had 7 years, right? You go and have a company that sells vitamin C supplements or whatever it may be, and you can Facebook advertise, you can back in then Twitter advertise, Instagram this, that. At a time when it was powerful as well, because it's become harder to do that. We've never had any of that available to us to reach people. So our main thing for reaching people is other people's platforms, other people using it and talking about it, word of mouth, and meeting people face to face. Because if we want to spend, even if I go to Facebook now and I said I have £100,000 a month budget to advertise with you, they'd be like, well, what are you doing? Narcotics, drugs, illegal, this, that, whatever, banned.
So we kind of allowed ourselves to become I say it myself, speak personally anyway, a bit downhearted at this suppression that you get, this constant attack. And a few months ago, so my health food shop was massively affected by COVID in terms of footfall on the high street, and never recovered afterwards, never recovered. And then I thought, right, I've got to tell the world we're here still. People have forgotten. And so I began to be much more aggressive. Nothing clever. So there's a sort of temptation to think with social media, there's a mystique. You need to pay someone to do it for you. Get an agency and so on. Yeah. Actually, you just got to be bloody minded enough to keep telling people, I'm here, and I have some value for you. Keep doing it. So I started to do it at the shop, and lo and behold, began to see footfall improve. Still not mega now, but it's improved. So come January the 1st, I'm sat there doing my post from my shop, and I was like, well, I've got a CBD business here. And I was like, why am I bothering with CBD socially? Because every post you put out, you lose heart, because nobody ever sees it. And you think, these are great posts. Anyway, I just thought, no matter what happens, I am now going to be unrelenting with that, and with our other businesses too. So I began to do it in January, and now it may be absolute coincidence, we don't know, but the numbers have just gone woof in terms of reaching people, and it ties into what you were saying about do a retreat and stuff. When you're involved in the business so closely, you sometimes don't see those ideas. They're there, but you're doing the nitty-gritty. So what's happened is I said to Alex, look, you do the cogs, turn the cogs, you sit on the driving wheel there, you do the cogs. I'll tell everyone about us. I'll do the marketing bit, because you need the cogs turning, but people need to know, and you've got to get that balance right always. So anyone who wants to start a business, I would always say to them, the most fundamental thing: get your business set, but marketing, and you don't have to spend a fortune on marketing. Just always do it, because it's easy to forget that. You've got to let the world know you're there.
Let me ask you this question, both of you. Might spangle your head a little bit, right? But what is the brand's vision? Okay?
Yeah,
your guiding star that you two are moving towards, what is that?
So we have talked about this, haven't we? And we've
actually got like a mission statement on the website, and don't ask me to recite it.
I know.
Go on.
But it kind of evolves over time. What you just said there about getting involved in retreats, ultimately, we want to help people live healthier lives and inspire them to live healthier lives. And that's not just take our product, as we've already touched upon thus far. There's a lot to that.
Yeah. This is not a trick question.
No,
right? I want to give you both a little bit of perspective just from talking to what I think your brand vision is. Because I think what you've just said is your brand mission. What do you need to do? How are you going to do it?
We need to reach as many people as possible and get that message out there.
That's still your mission.
Yeah.
Vision is we see a world where, and you two put it on the wall,
people
and you keep coming back
to
it.
To take control of their own health.
Right.
That's what my thing would be, where it's been my own journey myself.
So if people does that, what happens to them?
They feel better, and they're happier, and everyone interacts better, and we get along better. And you name it. As I said to you, I've seen it through my own brother who lost his life and desperately scurried around before that to try and think, what the fuck can I do to make myself better, to heal myself, to this, to that. It's something I'm passionate about. I know it's something that Nick's passionate about. He works in that field of helping people, where you realise that you don't need to go to your doctor and go, I've got a bad back, take this, it'll mask that. Why have you got the bad back? And a lot of that, like you've said, you can touch upon trauma from earlier in life and your childhood and this and that, and experiences throughout life that you go through, major life-changing experiences. But people need to realise that we have the power to
it's about empowering people to
grab hold of
charge.
our own health and our own well-being and take control of it. There is always going to be a place for medicine. And if I'm in a car accident later on and I need my leg sewed back on, take me to a surgeon, right? Because they're geniuses who will save your life. If my leg gets blown off, I don't want an osteopath, right? But general life, day to day, I think we've lost touch with who we are and each other. And phones can be, they can empower you, but they can also do the opposite and make you feel more distant than ever. And social media and things like that. And everyone's got haters, haven't they? As soon as you put your head above the line, people will always hate on you. But it's empowering people to take control of their own health and actually what you realise, unfortunately, the traditional route and the pharmaceutical route and things like that, it's not even their fault, a lot of this, but it's not set up to make you healthier and better. It might be set up to take this and it will mask that for a period, but do you really want to heal? Do you really want to feel better? Live optimally? And part of that is, if you live in the right way, you have less things that need fixing anyway.
Well, we have a window into people's lives because you'll often, we had one yesterday, a story from a woman who's, the doctors have just fobbed off with, oh, it's your age, it's your this, it's your that, and lo and behold, she's got terminal cancer. So we have a window into those people's lives, and as far as I'm concerned, a responsibility to try and offer up to them everything we can. CBD is our product, and then we have knowledge, and the two can work together, and we can empower people. So at the end of it all, the vision is about health, about helping people discover their health, optimize their health, on all the layers. And CBD is part of that, or can be part of that whole set of ingredients to make your body better, and make yourself well, or keep you healthy. And we've got a voice to talk to people, and that's, as of January the 1st, I've started hammering that out. So I don't just talk about CBD, I talk about everything. Little biohacks you can do, blue light glasses, there's all kinds of stuff you can do.
What I'd really like to do with you both, and that's just because your vision's very aligned with mine, I'd like to give you an hour and a half of my time for free to help you just align the values, mission, vision, purpose. Just come up. I feel like I can get it out of you in an hour.
Let's do it.
You're going into the curse of knowledge a little bit. So I work at it on sort of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You've got sort of shelter, food and water. After that, I'm all about conserving calories, right? You two just talk there, and people have just gone, okay, it's too much for me, lads.
Yeah.
I need a sentence.
Yeah.
I need that. We need that.
The essence.
Exactly what it is straight away. You know what I mean? I know that we want to improve people's health and the what's it, but is not it really that we want to see a world where people's vibrations are higher? Yeah. Whatever that message is, and getting it down so it's on the wall and we're going towards it, because we can improve people's health, and that's our mission, that's what we do. But the effect of that is that everybody's our vibrations is higher.
The world gets better placed.
Correct. So if that's our vision, we no need to put retreats on. You need to start talking more about the psychology, and it's not just about CBD products. This is our brand and who we are.
It's really good.
You talking about fitness and health and all these other things as well, mate. It's what CBD One's all about. So much more than products and services.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of people, I always use the analogy of putting the cart before the horse. The cart is the products and services, but the horse is the brand. You need to bring it to the front of the cart, let people fucking fall in love with it, about raising vibrations, about the retreats that we do and the messages, and people buy shitloads more from the cart because they love who you are.
Yeah.
That fucking horse can be a fucking wearing bloody orange glasses with a
Never have
fucking
it.
suit,
It's
you know,
up to it.
whatever it wants to be. Yeah, but that's understanding that horse and who are we as a brand,
It's really interesting that because
identity.
I wear barefoot shoes and
Yeah, me too.
Vivo Barefoot.
Yeah.
I've just sent out an email about a retreat they're doing. I think they're a German brand actually. But
I thought they were English, to be
oh,
honest.
they might be English. I
Yeah,
might be
I
wrong.
think they're English.
Oh, that's anyway.
Yeah.
Regardless,
Yeah.
they're doing a retreat about 3 miles from my house.
Superb.
And I was looking, going, whoa.
Yeah.
And it suddenly that started to make little pieces.
Yeah, because it connects with your brand,
Yeah.
what you two are. That's what I'm saying. It only took me an hour to get it out here because you've been working on your brand for 10 years. It'll only take an hour just to align it for you.
Yeah, of course
And it's
it
a
would.
bit like the chakra system.
Yeah.
You know, your vision is like there, and what is that source?
Yeah.
You know, your
Yeah,
mission
yeah,
and your
yeah.
values at your core.
Yeah.
And it's just when you've got those aligned, fucking the thing just goes wrong. Like that. You're just
Yeah.
living in abundance.
Yeah.
But we'll do that
Sounds
if
good.
you're both up for it.
I'm up for that.
Yeah. How can people find you? Where are the products? Just give everybody what your handles are, website, all that.
Website is cbd-one, as in one.co.uk.
Yeah.
Handles?
Is at CBD number 1 UK. CBD One UK.
And if somebody's starting out, you'd recommend just getting one of these once a day in your drink and just
That's a perfect
listen to
way
your body.
Start, yeah, so those products, they're all called Absorb, and then there's a different one after it.
Right.
So they're called the Absorb range, so they're the ones that you can pop into a drink. Really easy way of using CBD, but also
Yeah.
an effective way of using CBD. Or a standard oil drop, pick one that's at a
Anywhere between
Wrong.
30 and 60 quid.
Right.
If you spend anywhere in
pick
that,
something
you're in the middle.
and give it a go and see what happens.
Exciting. Thank you both for you. Really, really appreciate your
You're
time.
welcome. Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for listening, everybody. Goodbye.